Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Road to the Philippines. I am at the airport in Atlanta, Georgia. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. You see that line behind me? Those are people waiting to reschedule their flights. And it goes on and on and on. Yeah, this is crazy, guys. I mean, I'll try and film some of this just so you can see this line. This is unbelievable. Yeah, I've been trying to get home. I've been trying to get home since Friday. And, when I checked in on Friday, they said, well, by the time you get to Atlanta, this is when I was at Tucson, they said by the time you get to Atlanta, you're gonna miss your flight. So I was like, well, so my options were, I could either fly to Atlanta and then have to get a hotel, or I could stay in Tucson and stay at Mom and Uncle Ken's. Well, I decided just to stay at Mom and Uncle Ken's so I can catch the flight the next day. Well, the next day I went to the airport. Was there for, I don't know, 8 or 9 hours. And then they're like, oh, flight's canceled. The captain came out and said, we can't, by law, the FAA, whatever the hell it is, says by law, you can't, can't fly. Apparently they're not allowed to fly after so many hours. They have to actually go home and sleep and eat, or at least they have to go to a hotel and sleep. But, yeah, guys, look at this line. Yeah, like I said, it just goes on and on and on and on. It's 1 o'clock in the damn morning, guys. So yeah, they canceled my flight again. And I was like, well, I guess I'll catch the next flight. So I stayed at Mom and Uncle Kenny's again. Got up at 4:30 in the morning and barely caught my flight. Yeah, I barely caught my flight to here to Atlanta. Well, right now it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I got here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. I've been here for 11 freaking ass hours. Still can't get the hell out of here. Apparently, my flight's supposed to leave at like 1:40. Whether or not that's gonna happen or not, I don't know. Well, I'll let you guys know. In the meantime, I'm gonna go down to my gate and wait and see what happens. I'll let you know what happens later, guys. Shit! I don't know what's going on here, guys, but there's something going on here. Shit time. Police cars. Jeez.
back to the United States not too long ago, a few days ago actually. That was quite a ordeal trying to get back here to Missouri. You know, I kind of have mixed feelings about being back here, you know, of course. I mean, it's nice, you know, seeing my coworkers again and, you know, seeing my family there in Arizona, but I'm just not happy about being back to the rat race, back to that hamster wheel life back here in the United States. I'm hoping this will be the last time, guys. The next time I go to the Philippines, it'll be permanent next time. That whole ordeal about getting back here to Kansas City, that was not cool. I guess you guys heard about that whole IT outage thing, global, whatever they called it, global IT outage. And it happened on the day that I was supposed to be coming back here to Kansas City. I showed up for the check-in for my flight to go from Tucson to Atlanta and then back to Kansas City. Well, when I checked in to leave Tucson, a warning sign came up on the kiosk, the self-check-in computer screen, and it told me that you're going to miss your connecting flight in Atlanta. So then I went to the checkout counter and she reaffirmed that based on the delay of the flight coming in, or the plane coming in that's going to be taking everybody to Atlanta, you know, it's been delayed, and by the time the plane actually gets to Atlanta, I'm going to miss my connecting flight. So she gave me the option. I could either stay the night, or she said I could either, you know, go ahead and take the flight to Atlanta, but I was going to have to stay overnight in Atlanta, or she could book me for the next day, which made the most sense because at least in Tucson I could stay with Mom and Uncle Kenny for another night. So that's what I did. So I was like, okay, I'll finally be able to get to Atlanta tomorrow. Well, when I showed up at the airport at 7 o'clock that morning, there was a long ass line to try to get checked in, because apparently everybody else was trying to make the same flight. When we finally got to the checkout line, the lady was like, well, they're having some problems in Atlanta. They can't seem to find a co-pilot and another flight attendant. They haven't shown up yet. And this is the plane that was supposed to be picking me up that morning. They're still waiting for a co-pilot and a flight attendant to show up. And I was like, well, shit, I have to get on this flight. Regardless of, you know, I have to stay overnight in Atlanta or whatever, I don't. At this point, I'm like, I don't care. I've already had to call in to work once already, and I don't want to have to keep doing that over and over. It's getting kind of expensive. After delay after delay after delay after delay, the captain finally comes out. The captain of the plane that we were supposed to be getting on came out and said, well, we're having problems getting a co-pilot for this flight. And he said, based on the rules of the airlines, he said that legally he can't fly because he's been awake for too long, and you're only allowed to be awake for so many hours, and you have to sleep for so many hours. So basically he was saying, you guys are shit out of luck. You're stuck here until tomorrow. Well, this is after I've been sitting at the airport for 8 or 9 hours there in Tucson. So once again, I had to call Mom to come and get me, and I stayed another night. Actually, for that flight, for that day, actually I didn't show up at 7 o'clock. It was actually in the afternoon. I didn't actually, the flight wasn't scheduled for like 12:42 in the afternoon. And when I checked in, the lady was saying that they were still waiting on a co-pilot and an airline stewardess, and they haven't even left yet. So I knew that there was going to be a huge delay. But anyways, having to stay overnight again, and this time, this was the morning that I had to get to the airport at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I ended up getting up at like 4:30 in the morning in order to get there relatively early, and still had to wait in this long ass line. Well, finally, after some time, the employees there decided that it was rather urgent to get passengers on that flight, because like I said, there was a long ass line and time was running out. I got there probably an hour and a half before the flight, and I was standing in line. I was beginning to think, damn, I'm never going to get checked in so I can catch this damn flight. So they finally decided, okay, for those of you going to Atlanta, you need to line up over here. For those of you going to LA, which was another flight that was delayed, line up over here. And I finally got my ticket and got on board, minutes to spare, and I finally made it to Atlanta. Well, once I got to Atlanta, I arrived there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My flight wasn't scheduled until 7 o'clock, 7:49 or something like that evening. And as with the previous flights, they kept bumping the flight up, kept delaying it an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Finally, after about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, after sitting there this whole time, over 12 hours, 12, 13, 14 hours, they finally flashed it up on the screen, this flight's been canceled. Now, I thought that was kind of crappy, because, I think that was what the airline's way of getting out of giving everybody hotel vouchers. Because they figured, well, you've been waiting since 4 in the morning, so chances are you're not going to go and try to get a hotel room, at such a late hour. As you see in that one video I posted, that was a long ass line that I was going to have to be waiting in. That long line, I was at the end of that line, and by the grace of God, one of the employees that worked for Delta, he grabbed several people from the end of that line. And me and this older lady were standing there, we're like, well, what's going on? Why are those people going over there to that checkout counter? We're like, well, screw it, let's just go over there too. I mean, he didn't motion us over, but we just went over there by ourselves. We're like, yeah, we got to find out what's going on. We're like, she's like, well, if he's not booking us for the next flight, then, we're at the end of the line anyway, so it's not going to really matter. We didn't lose that many spots, getting back in line. But thank God, this guy was actually booking people for the next flight. We showed up there, and he was like, yeah, I felt sorry for you guys, because I know you guys would be waiting forever to talk to the ladies at the reception area to reschedule your flights. So he was like, yeah, he's like, I felt sorry for you guys, so that's why I pulled you all over here. But more and more people started showing up in that line, and he went to the guy that was standing last in line and told him, I think he told him not to let any more people in line, because he wasn't going to do anymore. And I tell you, when they say God works in mysterious ways, let me tell you that, for real, that was a blessing. That was an absolute blessing. Well, then later on that morning, we're standing at a different, I had to go to a different terminal. This was Terminal A that I was at. I had to find Terminal B, which I had to get on the SkyTrain and all this other crap. I was like, this is insane. Because I'm like looking at the monitors and trying to find this new flight, and it's not popping up anywhere. I'm like, what the hell? One of the employees previously was like, well, you just need to go on your phone and Google the flight, and it'll show you where you're supposed to go. I'm like, I never heard of such a thing. So yeah, if you guys ever want to know what the status is on your flight, just Google flight DL whatever, and it'll show you if it's being delayed, canceled, or whatever, and it'll tell you what gate to catch your flight. So that's what I did, and lo and behold, it was at a completely different terminal, which they didn't tell me that when I was rescheduling it. I showed up there about 7 o'clock that morning. One of the workers there came out, and she was on a computer, and I showed her, okay, this is all I have. I mean, there was no seat assignment on my ticket, nothing. I didn't even realize it said that I was on standby. I was like, oh man, this is not going to turn out good. So she looked me up in the computer and she's like, yeah, you're on, you're in a computer, you're on standby. And I was like, well, how does that work then? Is it a first come, first serve type deal? I mean, how does this work? She's like, no, it's based on when you're placed in the computer. We'll call you up whatever time you were selected or whatever time you were put in the computer. That's when we'll call you up there. Well, they didn't really tell me a whole lot because I didn't know where I was at in the computer. So I waited several hours, you know, and they were about, you know, they were talking about boarding the plane and all this. I was like, I'm going to get in this line again. I'm going to talk to somebody else because this lady didn't really tell me much of anything. And I got up there and he's like, yeah, you're on standby. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? He's like, well, there's 118 people on standby. I was like, really? He's like, and you are number one on the list. I was like, oh my Lord. Another blessing. I'm telling you, God was looking out for me that day. Out of 118 people, I was the number one placed on the list. And the only reason I was the number one on that list was because that guy had pulling us out at the end of the line. So when I say the Lord works in mysterious ways, man, that is no joke. I mean, what were the chances of that happening? Because before I got on that flight, I was actually one of the people selected. Out of the 118 people, I think they only selected 5 people. So I don't know what the deal is with the other, you know, 113 people, what happened with them. But yeah, I couldn't believe it, guys. You know, when they canceled my flight, you know, early that morning, I was like, okay, I'm going to book another flight with another airline just as a safety net, as a backup, in case I can't get on this flight. And that's what I did. Thank God I got on the Delta flight. Because when I got back to Kansas City, the flight that I had paid for as a backup, that flight had gotten canceled. So, man, there's no telling how long I would have been out there. Like I said, it was by the grace of God that I made it back here. And I am truly grateful. Thank you, Lord. So, yeah, guys, I just wanted to update you, let you know I'm back here in Missouri. I often say I'm back here in misery as far as when I plan to go out again. Like I told Irene before I left, you know, I told her I don't know when I'll make it back. But when I do make it back, it's going to be permanent this time. I'm not messing around. I'm not going through this heartache of being separated, because it's hard on us. And this was the 5th time that we've had to go through this, and I don't want to go through this. I don't want her to go through this anymore. I'm ready to throw in the towel. I'm ready to move to the Philippines permanently and live my life out there. I just got to go through some bullshit before that can be a reality. Yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, watching my channel. You know, my channel's been growing slowly. I really don't expect it to grow that quickly, at least until I'm out there living in the Philippines. But I do have a lot of videos to post, you know, from my trip out there this time. I did a lot of firsts while I was out there. Like I mentioned before, I drove for the first time in the Philippines. That was quite an experience. Definitely not like driving here in the U.S. Oh, man. Yeah, a lot of firsts out there this time. And you guys get to see that here shortly. And yeah, I want to thank you guys for continuing to tune in, watching my little channel, supporting me. If you guys could like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, I'd appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out, guys.